Well, what's up, Guardians? Peace and Grease here, and there's been a lot of doom and gloom, a lot of talk as of late about the future of Bungie and Destiny 2, and I really kind of wanted to throw some perspective in there. Before I do, though, let me say this. To all the developers affected by layoffs, my heart goes out to you. All right, it's a very stressful, a very tumultuous time to find yourself in. And if you've been around long enough, whether you started your career or you started your own business, it's a very bad time. My hope for each and every single developer affected by these layoffs is you land on your feet in a better job than you left. Now, with that being said, I do not see Bungie shuttering the studio. I do not see them shutting down the Destiny 2 servers anytime soon. Bungie still has just shy of 900 developers. So I do believe Bungie is going to continue, and I do believe that Destiny is going to continue. Now, you may be concerned because of Sony's involvement, and I understand that. But Sony isn't EA, meaning that EA is the studio killer. Sony specifically bought Bungie to make money. Shuttering Bungie does not make them that money. So I don't see that being a very likely outcome. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to go into it here, but over the past 5 to 7 years, Sony has made a lot of anti-consumer business choices and practices. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not going to get into it here. If you're really interested, maybe I'll make a separate video, but that's concerning, yes, but at the end of the day, they bought Bungie for one reason: money. And in order for them to make that money, Bungie has to stay in business. They have to keep operating. So again, call me naive, call me optimistic, but I don't think that this is going to ruin Bungie, or the fate of Destiny is all doom and gloom. I'm sorry. I don't think that that's the case. I've been wrong before, but I don't think that I am, obviously. That's not to say I'm not concerned about Destiny 2's future, but that is not in conjunction with the Sony acquisition or the layoffs. Now, that may confuse some of you. Let me explain. If you've played Destiny long enough, all right, you have probably noticed Bungie's pattern. And this is a pattern that has repeated itself even to this day with the final shape. If you don't know, I'll explain. For those of you that do, bear with me. So the pattern is the same every time. It typically goes something along the lines of this. Bungie lets the game stagnate. The content dries up. The player numbers dwindle. The community becomes unhappy. Content creators and streamers start making videos about Destiny 2's content drought. And Bungie says, well, we better do a really good job on the next expansion. And they release Forsaken, for example. Players flood back to the game. The community is happy. There's content. Content creators and streamers start making videos about Destiny 2 is saved and all is right with the world. For a little while. And then once again, Bungie lets the game stagnate. The content dries up. The player numbers drop. The community becomes unhappy. Content creators and streamers start making videos about the content drought, and Bungie says, oh shucks, we better do a really good job on the next expansion. And they release Shadowkeep, for example. Once again, players flood back to the game, the community's happy again. Content creators and streamers start making videos about Destiny 2 is saved again. And all is right with the world again. For a little while. Again. And then once again, Bungie lets the game stagnate, and on and on and on and on and on. And we see this pattern throughout Destiny 2's life cycle to this very day. It's a pattern that has repeated itself over and over and over again. Why should that be a concern? Because expansions were a safety net for Bungie. Meaning that if they let the game stagnate, if they let the content dry up, they could always release an expansion, and what happens? We download the expansion, we install it, we hop online, and we're greeted with a queue, a line, to play the game. Why? Because players have flooded back to the game. So no matter how bad it got for Destiny 2, just the act of releasing an expansion immediately brought a wave of players back to the game again. got people talking about the game again, got people playing the game again. If Bungie's no longer doing expansions, that safety net is gone. And to be perfectly blunt, episodes do not have the same appeal as expansions. They just don't. Now, to be fair, the current episode we have, Echoes, isn't really an episode. Not yet. My hope is by Act 3, we'll finally see Bungie's vision for the episodes. But Bungie's focus has been primarily on the fixes for the final shape, and rightfully so. I don't have a problem with that. As a result, Act 1 and 2 has been just typical season types of content that we have been used to for years now. Now, as they're wrapping up kind of their final fixes for the final shape, they can now shift their attention to actually giving us an episode in Act 3. And again, I hope it's good, I really do. But even if it is, that's still not enough to bring players back in droves like the expansions were. It's just not. My prediction for the future of Destiny 2 is that player count is going to continue to dwindle until Bungie has to do something drastic. And that's going to probably be something along the lines of announcing another expansion, or maybe even announcing that they're working on Destiny 3 again. Now, there was a cancellation of Destiny 3 with the Bungie layoffs, but I think that that is obviously a temporary cancellation, not a permanent one. Because at the end of the day, episodes are just not going to do it. And I would love to sit here and tell you that, you know what, Bungie's going to break that cycle. They're going to stop that pattern and they're not going to do it anymore. But historically, Bungie has always done that. So as much as I would love to believe that Bungie isn't going to do it anymore, the likelihood of that is, well, slim to none. So it's probably going to happen. And without that safety net, Bungie's going to find themselves in a precarious situation. So, again, my hope is they don't take their eye off the prize. They stay focused on continuing to release content, don't let the game stagnate, and keeping players engaged. That is going to be the number one way that Bungie can keep those numbers up. Because without expansions, they have no other option. So, when I say I'm concerned about Destiny 2's future, that's what I mean. But it has nothing to do with Sony's acquisition or the layoffs. Again, just kind of my 2 cents on it. By all means, call me naive, call me optimistic, call me whatever the hell you want to call me, but that's kind of my opinion and prediction on it. And maybe if nothing else, it provides a little bit of a different perspective. But by all means, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Am I wrong? Am I right? And until next time, peace out.